Hello guys, welcome to this channel. My name is Roman Narvaez. I am a civil engineer with a specialization in structural engineering. Today we are going to discuss this picture here, which contains some concepts about skills. This picture, I came across this picture for some years ago when I was studying a master in business administration, and in a project management book I found this picture. At that time I thought that this was very interesting because I had been working for quite a while for hard skills, so I know what it means with hard skills. But how about soft skills, I wondered. So this picture gave me a lot of thoughts around this kind of development, and this picture is grounded in that we can call SWOT analysis, which it means strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. To go inside this and explain how to develop soft skills, we need to go in self-management and leadership, and take some points from there, as for example self-awareness, which involves understanding one's own strengths, weaknesses, values and beliefs. Self-regulation involves controlling one's own emotions and impulse, adapted to changing circumstances. We have motivation, a clear sense of purpose and direction, as well as the drive to achieve goals. And of course, goal setting involves setting clear and measurable goals that align with one's values and vision. Time management involves prioritizing tasks, managing one's time effectively, and avoiding procrastination. We have two others: decision making and continuous learning and improvement. Yes, for that, all humans, as we engineers or other professions, we have our cognitive processes and non-cognitive process. What I am talking about this is, for example, perception, attention, cognitive process, of course, perception, attention, memory, language, and thinking. We have non-cognitive processes, which refers to aspects of human personality like emotions, values, attitudes, motivation, and personality. But this exploring of soft skills, they are connected to the human being in some aspects, like, for example, in life you are creating meaning, and how you find meaning, for example, the meaning of life. And wisdom, of course. We have another dimension in this, and this is important, that we get some knowledge about how we are interacting with this kind of behavior or needs from human beings, and we as a human beings. So in that case, we need to know the knowledge of skills, the knowledge of prepositional area, and the participatory. I'm going to go deep in this. So human beings, if we are talking for the first three aspects of human beings, the mega goals that is talking about in literature is mega desires, or mega goals are the goals that give your inner personality, to the inner human being, peace, not being in conflict. So that is the first aspect. The other aspect is that whatever that satisfies you will be real. In the case of the theory of knowledge, we see here two pictures that is referred to the skills, hard skills. So through the years at the university, we picked up this knowledge about, for example, structural mechanics, stress analysis, plate theory, buckling columns, and stress and strain, and so on and so on. But these hard skills, and the only that you need is that in your time at university to give time and understand this logical and analyze and analytical skills. But you have another dimension which calls the prepositional skills, and the prepositional skills or knowledge has to do to explain that I need to use a model from the Plato's theory, which you see here is a triangle, and on the top of the triangle you have the highest good, the highest form, the higher forms. And Plato was talking about this stage or this level is non-physical, this eternal, immutable, perfect, and necessary. From this level, the soul, which he's speaking or spoke about, the soul is generating the physical world. And the physical world is another level which, for example, there are some kind of knowledge than take that when you were 8 years old, you could draw a circle, or you could understand a triangle and things like that. This is not the case of animals and other creatures on the earth, but humans, they have the ability to early ages or years to understand some concepts. And this is what we call prepositional. You have embedded in you some kind of knowledge. And the third aspect of participatory, the being, human beings or your being, have different levels. And these levels, I'm going to take two models here. This is for the what we call dualistic perspective, which means that you have a soul, and your soul you have different levels of being. You have consciousness, personal unconscious. You are yourself, the self, an entity, independent. And this self is understanding the world, the inner world, and the outer world. This is, of course, a perspective, a way of seeing here in Western society. But we have another kind of model that is coming from the Buddhist philosophy. They are the 5 aggregates, and they have to do with form, sensation, perception, mental formation, consciousness. And from this perspective, you are going deep in which is the highest good that you are going to develop it, or you are going to find, or you are in contact with. To explain these areas, I'm making a frame to discuss some tools that can help us to get in contact with developing our cognitive and non-cognitive processes. And then Nicomachean ethics of Aristoteles, he defined the highest good. I'm going to read this. Most people, I should think, agree about what is the highest good. It's called, since both the masses and sophisticated people call it happiness, in Greek, eudaimonia, understanding being happy as equivalent to living well and acting well. Every skill and every inquiry, and similarly every action and rational choice, is thought to aim at some good, and so the good has been aptly described, and that at which everything aims. Right, so the highest good. I'm going to use some tools from Stoicism philosophy. Stoicism philosophy is one of the Hellenistic schools of philosophy for the 2000 years ago. Between these philosophies, there are other schools like the skeptics, They define it the highest good as happiness, eudaimonia. Epicureans, they define it the highest good as pleasure. And there are others like cynics and so on. But for Stoicism, they have a concept of ataraxia. How do we achieve the state of ataraxia, which means peace of mind? We discussed it before the mega goals of human beings, peace of mind, not being in conflict with yourself. So what's the position of the Stoics on this matter? The only good, the only good that is on this world is virtue. That's the highest good. And what it means with virtue is the highest good, living according with nature. That is, for Stoicism, the highest good. We are going to see that most of we are going to use right now is only the ethics of Stoicism, but they have another areas. They developed their philosophy in logic, physics, and ethics. If you compare or your similitude with an egg, you find that the shell could be the logic, the white physics, and the yolk ethics. So we are going to focus on ethics. The most famous of Stoicism. Right, the Stoicism divided this in different stages: the early Stoa, the middle Stoa, the late Stoa, or Roman Stoa. So the Roman Stoa is the most famous, or the most that we have get or keep in contact with that. Many of us who has been reading Seneca or Epictetus or Marco Aurelius. You see, for example, the Gladiator film of Marcus Aurelius on the movie. This is from the Roman Stoa. So Stoicism has some tools that we can use to improve, to develop our cognitive processes and non-cognitive processes. Here we have three and three more. So total, I'm going to go through 6 tools that you can use. We can use that, the first one, for example, the economy of control, memento mori, amor fati, and the other 3, the discipline of desire, the reframing of perception, and the premeditato malorum. So, and virtue, of course, we are talking about the highest good for Stoicism was the virtue and living according with nature. Virtue, you have the cardinal virtues here from early for the ancient Greeks: the courage, the wisdom, temperance, and justice. So, amor fati. What the Stoics talk about is the idea of what you throw on top of the fire is fuel for the fire. The practice of loving what you have, not only accepting or tolerating, but I choose it. So when the computer stopped working, I love it. When I get in obstacles, I love it. When you lose something, I love it. We need or we must to move from every obstacle, big or small, fair or unfair, become better, for this has happened. This is the formula for human excellence and human greatness. This is the only way that turns the bad things into good things. Amor fati. It's a way of changing things that's happened to us. The other is the dichotomy of control. And in the dichotomy of control, we must to see what we can control. At the beginning is, for example, you control your opinions, you control your goals, you control your desires, you control your actions, your reactions to events. And things that you can't control is, for example, the outcome of an event, your health, your wealth, your reputation. So if you compare, for example, like a team, when you belong or are playing basketball or football, soccer, I mean, you can make a similitude. You control how you play it. You don't control how your teams performs. You don't control what they say about it. You control how you play it. You don't control if it is raining. You don't control if it is snowing. You control how you play it. You don't control if your teammates get hurt. You don't control if they are unfair. You control how you play it. You don't control if the guy in front of you is ahead of you. You don't control if your opponents cheat. You control how you play it. You don't control if people are doubting you or mistrusting you. You control how you play it. You don't control yesterday's game. You don't control if you win. You don't control if you lose. You control how you play it. You don't control the facts. You control how you play it. All that you control is right now, right this second, the effort that you bring, the principles by which you operate. So that's the dichotomy of control, and you see here in the picture the things that you can control or things you have outside your control, as I have went through. And the next we have the memento mori. A memento mori, there are two words come to us from the ancient Greeks that we should remind ourselves and repeat to ourselves in every situation we are in. You win the lottery, you get recognized, you get an award, memento mori. Remember, you will die. This shall pass as well. You go through shit, you go through trouble, someone cheats you, someone betrays you, someone lies to you, someone steals from you, someone gets promoted over you. Say to yourself, memento mori. I will die. This will shall pass as well. You could live life right now. Let this determine what you think and say. You get in fight with your girlfriend or someone else. Someone else let you down. Your neighbor pisses you off. You break your leg. You are stressed out by work. Your kids are sick. You say to yourself, memento mori. Remember, you will die. This, of course, has to do with memento mori, with finding some kind of peace of mind in front of impermanence of life. Because all things are changing, and if all is changing and you are chasing on hunting after each time to get some kind of recognition or some kind of permanent happiness in all that is changing, though you are going to be in delusion. That's the word. So that is a memento mori. In this next slide we have the reframing of perception. And you see at the bottom of the picture here you have two squares. The bigger one we have happening situations, things, the world as is it, reality. So and in the smaller you have your meaning. You are giving meaning to this word, and if this meaning, if this perception is a very strong link between what is happening outside, is going to produce in you a lot of suffering. So because the strong link that you are perceiving that how the world is happening, is changing. So what we need to know, we can learn to perceive things differently, to cut through the illusion that others believe or fear. We can stop seeing the problems in front of us as problems. You control perception. Train perception to avoid good and bad. So you see at the top of this picture two squares, the word, smaller one, and you have a sub-link. So you are changing the perception. You are changing your perceptions, how you understand, how you define, how you understand the reality of your being. And understanding this, you can develop different perspectives to see in the world. Because in perception, you have the 5 or 6 that I showed you before. You have the form, your body form, you have the feelings, emotions, you have the conceptual frameworks, and you have the consciousness or awareness. So that is the area that you can increase your beings and decrease the soft link to the world. But of course, I showed you before 2 ways. The one way is dualistic, and the other non-dualistic. The other tool that we can use is the discipline of desire, and has to do with desire is all wisdom in desire, because we say that desire is suffering. So in Confucius say that a man dreams 10,000 dreams, a sick man only one dream or desire. So you have you live between 10,000 dreams or desires and one desire. And you must pick up your battles, because more desires you have, more battle, more suffering you have. So choose right, focus your desire and give attention to that and develop that one. The other quote that I have here is, it is not a man that has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. This is Epictetus that said about that. So it's a discipline of desire. The next one tool that you can use is premeditatio malurium. And in addition to better plans and more rational responses to unexpected obstacles, the concept of premeditatio malurium teaches us to be grateful for all that is relatively good. Sometimes things do go our way, and for this we should be immensely grateful. Having anticipated challenges and being fortunate enough to have not met them is extra sweet. There are several points in your life that you can find many grateful things to be happy about it. That is the other tool that you can use. And some other examples for the Stoics, we can see here, for example, one here: keep your attention focused entirely in what is truly your own concern, and be clear that what belongs to others is their business and not yours. Very important. What you can control, what you can't control. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Another example here, we have the people who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse toward, are wasting their time, even when hard at work. This has to do with, again about what can you control. Everything we hear is an opinion. This is from Marco Aurelius. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not a truth. This has to do with perception. Difficulties estrange the mind as labor does the body. Here is, for example, amor fati, or the other one, the last one that I go through, the premeditatio malurium. All men are made one for another. Either them teach them better or bear with them. This has to do with, you remember that at the beginning, Stoics, that 3 aspects: the ethics, the physics, and the logic. So they developed as well the physics, not metaphysical, but the physics and the understanding of the universe in form of active. A principal concept for the physics was the logos, and there was an active principle on the universe and a passive principle on the universe. But I didn't want to go inside that because it's a short workshop about ethics. Do you think that it's hard for you to master? Is humanly impossible? And if it is humanly possible, consider it to be within your reach. One more here, it's impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Very important. You are going to find in your career that the most people, they think, principle, when you have a strong ego at the beginning, you can have a strong ego. And if you think that you have, or you are already learned that, you are going to stop your development. The same is for the others. So it's impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. So this is some examples. And finally, we are getting back to the first picture, how to become more than structural engineering. I would say that is more than becoming, it means being more than structural engineering, because becoming is a process, of course, but being is a realization about who you are. So, for example, we are talking about skills, the hard skills of logic, structure analysis that you are picking up at school through your studies. But we are talking about soft skills like intuition, imagination, perspective, and skills like, for example, well-being is a skill. Not suffering unnecessarily is a skill. Notice your emotional life and regulating a negative emotion is a skill. So soft skills is quite more important in your career than, of course, hard skills. I'm not saying that you don't need that hard skill. Of course, as a structural engineering or civil engineering and other areas, hard skills are very important, but for your career, soft skills is a key issue, developing this. So I hope that this give you more tips about how to conduct your career. Thank you for today, and see you around.